and coming to terms with something that really reshapes what's possible and what a coalition looks like. It may take some people time. And what's so exciting to me is that this was a campaign that was laser focused on an economic agenda and on making clear that every New Yorker belongs in this city. They deserve the same respect, the same recognition. And ultimately, what good is it if we call this the greatest city in the world if the people who built it can't afford to live here? And the increased turnout, it's not just generational. I also say this as the first South Asian elected official, the first Muslim elected official to ever run for mayor. The turnout in those same communities has been incredible to see.
Peace to the tribe. So Zohran Mamdani, a Democrat running for the mayor of New York City, recently came out and said back in 2009, when he applied to Columbia University, he marked as a Black/African American. Columbia, like many elite universities, used a race-conscious affirmative action admissions program at the time, reporting that his race was Black or African American, in addition to Asian, could have given an advantage to Mr. Mamdani, who was born in Uganda. And this is why the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, the organization that's over the racial and ethnic identifiers in America, needs to get it right. Black/Black Americans are a specific ethnicity found in America. We were reclassified to Black on the very first United States Census record in 1790 up until 1860, prior to the Civil War. Prior to the end of the Civil War, we was Black on paper. If you can't find that in your family tree, if none of your ancestors was reclassified on Black with the U.S. Census from 1790 through 1865, you are not a Black American. We need to be protected and respected as a peculiar ethnic group, just like the Native Americans in America. Our lineage, our bloodline, our ethnicity built America, built the White House, designed Capitol Hill, designed D.C. Shout out to Benjamin Banneker. We did this with free labor. Our bloodline is very specific.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about the New York City Communist that is the Democrat nominee for mayor, Zohran Mandami. And the reason why we got to talk about this guy once again is because he's facing some backlash. He's in hot water because of his college application to Columbia, in which he identified as a so-called African-American, right? He said that he is African-American on his college application. And some people are finding this to be controversial and at the very least misleading.
The Democrats' new nominee to be the mayor of New York City, Mr. Mamdani, clearly despises America and everything that we stand for. Full-blown communist, also a racist, by the way. And it turns out that when he applied for Columbia University, he described himself as being Black and African American because his parents happened to be in Uganda when he was born.
Okay. So he did an interview on Thursday, and he said he did this with the New York Times. He said he did not consider himself Black or African American, but rather an American who was born in Africa. He said his answers on the college application were an attempt to represent his complex background, given the limited choices before him, and not to gain an upper hand in the admissions process. He was not accepted to Columbia, we should also add. So maybe he should call Elizabeth Warren and see how this worked out for her. But she did use it to get ahead. So, maybe there's a difference there.
Yeah, so when I first heard about this story, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I did not really care. And the reason why I didn't care is because the dude is literally born in Africa, and him being here in America and marking Black or African American, I can kind of see why he may have thought that was an appropriate choice, right? And that's me kind of giving him the benefit of doubt, because it's like, okay, well, you're in high school, you're applying for college. Right? I mean, I can kind of see it. And I've made jokes before about how stupid all this, race stuff is anyways, these racial categories, considering the fact that, Elon Musk is from South Africa, right? And, we make jokes about him being African-American all the time because he's from Africa. He's also an American as well, too. So that's why I was just kind of like, whatever. And on top of that, we live in a world where leftists have accepted this idea that men can identify as women. So I'm kind of like, I think we've seen more extreme things in this, right? I think that transracialism is probably not as far-fetched as transgenderism, right? So I'm just saying, like, I think we've seen more extreme versions of this, okay? But at the same time, the more I started to think about it, the more I was like, nah, I think this is very misleading, right? I think that this is basically a flat-out lie. And the reason why I say that is because, first and foremost, he was not American at the time in which he applied to college. He was still a citizen of Uganda, so he was not American. So the way that African-American, which is an ethnicity, is typically defined, it basically refers to what we refer to as Black Americans, descendants of slaves, right? Black is a race. Clearly, Zohran Mandami is not black. Okay, he's not black, and he wouldn't be considered an African-American because he's not a descendant of Black American slave. And also he's not American either. So the more I really started thinking about it, the more I said, yeah, this is kind of a big deal because he just kind of flat out lied. I mean, you're applying to Columbia, which means that, he probably at least, saw himself as a decently intelligent person. He should know the difference, right? He should know that it's probably not appropriate for me to check Black or African American on my college application, unless he was trying to game the system, which happens all the time, right? When you have people who decide that, hey, you know what? I'm racially ambiguous, therefore I'm going to check Black because it gives me a better chance of getting in. And in this case with Columbia, not so much. Columbia is a hard school to get into. But also on top of that, what made me think that this is kind of a big deal is the fact that just a few months ago, he did an interview in which he acknowledged that calling himself Black or African American is misleading. Take a look.
What are you? Are you Arab, Indian? What are you? You look ambiguous. You look weird. You look weird. What the fuck are you?
I'm an Indian, Ugandan, New Yorker.
Okay, so you're African American. So would you claim the African American status like Elon Musk?
No, I would not.
Why not? You're African, but you're African, right? I knew you grew up there.
I am.
Your middle name is Kwame.
I am. I'm proud to be Ugandan. But I think that is misleading.
So would you claim the African American status like Elon Musk?
No, I would not.
Why not? You're African, but you're African, right? I knew you grew up there.
I am.
Your middle name is Kwame.
I am. I'm proud to be Ugandan. But I think that is misleading.
And were the Indian Ugandans colonialists, or did you come happy? Did you come to fuck shit up, or did you come in peace?
We came in peace.
And I know your father's a professor.
My father's a professor. My family came from Gujarat to Uganda about 200 years ago.
So the caste system, what are you? Like Brahmin? Are you like are you like untouchable? What are you? You look a little light skinned.
I'm somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so you're a piece of shit.
Yeah. So this dude admitted in an interview just a few months ago that it would be misleading for me to identify as an African American. So he knows. Now, again, did he know at the time in which, he was applying to college that you're not supposed to mark that, right? Who knows? But, there is reason to believe that he did mislead on his college application because, again, we all know that if you're Black with affirmative action being in place at the time, you had a leg up. You still didn't get in, but, hey, who cares, right? He's, technically African, right? He was born in Africa. So, I guess he thought he can get away with it. Now, again, one of the reasons why I think this is a big deal is because this is not an isolated incident, right? This guy seems to be more and more and more like Kamala Harris and other standard Democrats, the more information that comes out about him, okay? Because we all remember Elizabeth Warren, her identifying as an Indian, right? Even though she's not, okay? And also you have Kamala, who is Indian, identified as Black, even though there is no proof that she's Black, right? There's no proof that Kamala has one drop of Negro blood, but yet, these people pretend as if she's a Black woman, okay? Cooking collard greens in the bathtub. Her curry collards, right? Making her curry collard greens. So, with this guy, we're seeing the same pattern. Like, for example, he seems to change his accent depending on who he's trying to appeal to, just like Kamala Harris.
Because I think that New Yorkers, more than they hate a politician they disagree with, they hate a politician they can't trust.
On the subject of trust, you've adopted different speaking accents in different scenarios.
But they go to their local bodega.
Is there one that's real and one that's affected?
What I would say is, as any immigrant knows, having been born in Kampala, Uganda, and then raised in South Africa and moving here when I'm 7 years old, is there are different parts of my life. A worldwide tour is a worldwide tour is a worldwide tour.
Mamdani was talking about a worldwide press tour back when he was a rapper.
Bring the flavor to the fish, bring the flavor to the rice.
In a Disney movie directed by his mother.
Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. Here in New York City, this is how I speak.
Zohan Mandami, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome to South Africa.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure. A lot of people are afraid of the word socialist, and a lot of people have misconceptions about what it means. I'm a democratic socialist. I actually created a playlist for Mira, who also happens to be my mother. Nepotism and hard work goes a long way. We need our internet because we have all of our kids staying at home doing remote learning, and if you don't have internet, you can't be taught, you can't learn. I was supposed to assist the music supervisor, but I ended up picking all the songs for the film. City Hall is engulfed in corruption. A mayor could change this, and that's why I'm running.
Apparently you are a rapper too.
I happen to be a rapper. I am a rapper proper. It is up to us here across New York to make it very clear that every single one of us deserves a shot. We had to find a studio to record dialogue for one of the actors to perfect their accent. It's a weird thing where I know what someone wants to hear, right? I would play to whatever X person needed from me, as opposed to being who I actually wanted to be. It's like being a great mirror, right? You just give people exactly what they want.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Just like Kamala Harris, this guy seems to be a shapeshifter, right? What's up with these Indian people not knowing who they actually are, right? Pretending to be black. I don't get it. But, yeah, I don't know who this man is. I think he's a chameleon, okay? He claims to be a Muslim, but he loves LGBTQ, which I also find to be a fascinating thing. His mother, Myra Nair, who is a multi-millionaire Bollywood/Hollywood filmmaker, okay, a director, which, again, is also interesting considering how he's a socialist, right? I think he's a communist, but he seems to be a rich Nepo baby, right? She claims that he's not even American, right? That they are desi. Again, this article is from the Hudestan Times back in 2013. Let's read here. She left India when she was 19 and has homes in Uganda, New York, and India. But internationally acclaimed filmmaker of Indian origin, Myra Nair, says she has kept her son Zohran with husband Mahmood Mandami grounded with his Indian roots intact. She left India when she was 19 and has houses in Uganda, New York, and India. Quote, he is a total desi completely. We are not Farangs at all. He is very much us. He is not an American at all. He was born in Uganda, raised between India and America. He is at home in many places. He thinks of himself as a Ugandan and as an Indian, Nair told us during her recent trip to the capital. A junior in college with one more year to go, the 21-year-old is studying Arabic and politics. He is very Chalu fellow. Okay, he's a very Chalu fellow. We speak only Hindustani at home. He is involved with popular culture, but he is not into movies as he doesn't make them, unlike me, she says. Yeah. So, again, I have questions, right? This dude's mother is saying flat out, he's not American. Okay, now, to be fair, I believe this was before he got his American citizenship, but I think this does bring up legitimate questions about where does his loyalties lie, right? If he considers himself to be Ugandan, okay, and an Indian, okay, he's studying Arabic, is his loyalties with the United States of America? Or is it with foreign countries, right? I think that's a legitimate question to ask. Considering how this guy doesn't seem to know who he is, right? He's a bunch of different people at one time, right? So again, this is why this story is bigger than I thought it originally was, is because this seems to be a pattern of shape-shifting to be whoever he thinks he needs to be in order to get ahead, right? Which is the same thing that Kamala did. And this seems to be a pattern of behavior that you see amongst untalented people who decide to go into politics, right? Because in politics, you don't need talent to be a swindler, right? All you need to do, again, is to try to appeal to people based off identity. Socialism just promised people free stuff, and now all of a sudden you're a superstar, right, in the Democrat Party, okay? So, yeah, we've seen this playbook before, okay? Let's read here. Democratic Socialist, New York City mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mandami once admitted that identifying himself as African-American would be misleading, despite him ticking that as his race on his Columbia University application. Newly resurfaced video captured the 33-year-old making the acknowledgement as he was sprayed with questions on the campaign trail about his heritage. Quote, "I am Indian, Ugandan, New Yorker," Mandami told black performance artist Crackhead Barney when she approached him on the street in April. Yeah. Interesting. Asked if he would claim African-American status, the socialist insisted, "I would not. I'm proud to be Ugandan, but I think that is misleading." The clip resurfaced and started spreading on social media soon after the New York Times reported on Thursday that he checked both Asian and black or African-American on his application to the Ivy League University when he was a high school senior in 2009. Mandami, who was born in Uganda, told the outlet he doesn't identify as either race, but rather an American who was born in Africa. Yeah, so he's changing that up. Why is he changing it up? Because his mom said that he is not American at all. He's Indian and Ugandan, right? He's Desi, okay? Why is he changing up all of a sudden? Why is it now all of a sudden he's like, oh, no, I want to reject the whole Indian thing, right? I want to reject that. I'm American, right? I was just born in Africa. The reason why is because he knows that in order to win the New York mayor election, that is not going to be a good look for him to run around calling himself black, right? Or Indian, okay? Or any of these other things that he once claimed, right? It's probably a better look for him just to say, hey, I'm American. I just happen to be born in another country, right? Again, it's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating. So anyways, apparently there are black New Yorkers who are raging over Mandami's African-American claim, saying that he's a fraud, right? Let's read here. Black New York isn't buying it. A slew of black Big Apple residents fumed Friday over mayoral frontrunner Zohran Mandami's claim on an Ivy League college application that he is African-American, with them raging the socialist politician is a fraud and trickster. Quote, "He's just trying to get over an 86-year-old Harlem resident identifying herself as only Marjorie said of Mandami, a socialist of Asian Indian descent. Quote, "You can look at him and see he's not black." She said, "Absolutely not." I'm pretty sure you can apply that to Kamala as well too, right? You can look at her and tell she's not black. Quote, "I don't like him. I didn't like him from the first time I heard him. You can look at him and see he's a trickster." She said of the politician who struggled mightily to make inroads among black voters at the Democratic primary race polls last month, despite his stunning win. Another longtime local who asked not to be identified seethed, quote, "He's a fraud. He's a foreigner. He ain't no African-American," the man said of Mandami, who was born in Uganda but became a naturalized U.S. citizen in 2018 and holds dual citizenship between the two countries. Yeah, also on top of that, I just want to add this. I don't think that anybody should be allowed in public office that holds dual citizenship. I don't care what country it is, including Israel, right? That's how I imagine people that, complain about Israel so much. That's how I imagine them saying it, right? Israel, right? Even Israel. I do not think that you should be allowed to have dual citizenship and be in public office. I don't care what country it is, right? If you're going to be in public office in the United States of America, you need to renounce your foreign citizenship, period, right? Citizenship implies loyalty. You only can be loyal to one country. You can't be loyal to two countries at the same time, okay? You have to be loyal to one country. If you want to be a politician, if you want to run for office in the United States of America, you have to be loyal to the United States and the United States only, okay? A Bronx resident named Joshua added, quote, he's a liar, point blank, period. I don't need a lying mayor or a mayor that says he's black so he can get black people to vote for him. We black, he said. We ain't stupid. Mandami, a Democratic socialist, had checked off the black or African-American and Asian boxes on his 2009 Columbia University application regarding his race, the New York Times reported last week. The university where Mandami's father was and still is a professor had affirmative action friendly admissions policies at the time, which the politician's critics allege he may have been trying to take advantage of. Either way, Mandami failed to get into the prestigious school. Yeah, so again, you have people who are saying that this is misleading, including himself, okay? A Bronx resident said Mandami's claim in 2009 was shameful. Quote, always knew something was off about him, said Maria R., 37, to the Post. Why are you claiming something that you're not? He could have potentially took away an opportunity for someone else. Quote, he can look in the mirror and see he's not black, she said. Tiffany Francis, a 31-year-old from Brooklyn who moved to Harlem in 2019, agreed that his claim was not fair. I think people should tell the truth, Francis said. No matter the circumstances, just be truthful. Don't try to persuade or lie to get your way. Early this week, Mayor Eric Adams, who is black, called Mandami's college application claim deeply offensive. The African-American identity is not a checkbox of convenience, the mayor griped of his foe. It's a history, a struggle, and a lived experience. For someone to exploit that for personal gain is deeply offensive. Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. There are people who have issues with this, and there are people who don't have issues with it. Me personally, at first I didn't have an issue with it, and I still kind of don't, in the sense that, like, I don't really care that much, to be honest with you. But when you consider that plus a bunch of other things, right, then I think it kind of becomes a big deal, right? Not this incident in and of itself, but the totality of things that we're seeing from this guy, I think does kind of make it a big deal. We don't know who this dude is. What I know, or what I believe that I know, is that he's a communist, and I'm going to treat him as a communist. And I think that is the biggest criticism of this guy, is that he is super far left. And that's a problem, right? That's a big issue, and that is the main thing that people should be concerned about. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.